Hi, welcome to another episode of the.
Flashtronauts.
I'm Audra Kerr Brown, and my co-pilot is,
Constance Malloy.
and we're glad you're tuning in. Tonight we have an ekphrastic story. I have a hard time saying it. Ekphrastic story, written by Nan Wigington. And Nan, she's on Twitter. Her Twitter handle is @mind_of_winter. She is an amazing writer. I've been following her for a number of years, probably since 2015. And she's unrecognized in a way. I mean, the story that we're reading tonight is from the Ekphrastic Review, and it won the Christmas contest from January 2021, so a year ago. But she's kind of under the radar, is what I want to say. Not really unrecognized, but under the radar. I mean, I'm hoping with this episode of the Flashtronauts, we can get her name out and her work out, because she is up there in one of my top favorite Flash writers of all time. And you'll see why in just a second. But to me, she's just amazing, and she has such a unique voice. So I'm happy that we are reading her story. It's called Return from the Woods. And ekphrastic writing, in case you don't know, and I didn't know what this was up to a few years ago, it's writing or poetry based on a painting. You see a painting and you write about it. You could write a story, or you can write just a really vivid scene. And the Ekphrastic Review is really cool. They're kind of under the radar too. I don't hear too many people talking about them, but I'm going to hype them up because I think they've got it going on. They do workshops. They have prompts. They have challenges. They have prizes. They have a little podcast. And also, I really like. Did I mention workshops? They have workshops.
You did.
They also have I love this. A couple literary magazines are starting to do this. They have like a bookshelf they have ebooks, and they have like a bookshelf of their books that they do, but they also keep a running bookshelf of all the books that are written by their contributors. So I think that's neat.
Nice.
They promote their writers. And I just grabbed this from their website, their descriptions. It says the Ekphrastic Review is an online journal devoted entirely to writing inspired by visual art. Our objective is to promote ekphrastic writing, promote art appreciation, and experience how the two strengthen each other and bring enrichment to every facet of life. We want to inspire more ekphrastic writing and promote the best in ekphrasis far and wide. They're very passionate, and I love that about what they do.
Well, and definitely this story does exactly what they are looking for. Nan's story, I can see why they picked it very much.
Yes. So Nan Wigington works in a public school autism center. Her biggest accomplishment for the year was selling the house she and her husband have lived in for 30 years. Retirement cannot be far away. Nan's flash fiction has appeared in Microfiction Monday, Idle Ink, and Ledger Domain. I think I pronounced that wrong. The 2021 National Flash Fiction Day Anthology. So I will show you the artwork. It was by Giovanni Segantini, a painting, and it is called Return from the Woods. Just a black and white. My version's a black and white, but it's in color for real. And so I'll read the story, Return from the Woods by Nan Wigington. Although she's not tired, Gretel stops, drops the reins. The toboggan she has pulled for miles glides over the crust of snow, bumps her calves, knocks loose a dusting of green needles from her shoulders, a cone of gray hair from her cap. She stares at the village, its low-slung roofs, the yellow lights that shimmer from this window, that. No smoke billows from any chimney. They haven't changed. Still cold, still hungry, still living by dim candlelight. She wonders who might notice her return. The father, the mother could only be dead. But surely someone remembered. Hansel, Gretel, the girl, the boy, their journey into the ravenous wild. Something black flaps in the church belfry. Growth? A new priest drunk on wine and winter fumbling up the spiral stairs to ring the Vespers bell. Did the people pray anymore? A weight of bread bulges in Gretel's coat pocket, presses against her thigh. She pulls it out, bites into its brown sweetness. It tastes of smoke and ginger, witches and brothers, sin and cinnamon. It sucks at her teeth like sour fruit and jelly. Oh, the village. They would only understand salt and fat, never sugar or skin, incest and lust, witch and boy, boy and girl, girl and woman. It was how they lived, safe and warm in a magic cottage, all appetite and answer, touch and pleasure. These people in those dirty dwellings only knew pain. They bore so many children for the oven. Why are the children the ones we always sacrifice? Hans had asked once. Because they are so delicious and fat, the witch had answered, who grew tired of the dirty kisses first, the squall of birth, the cloying odor of mother's milk. Meat made them all angry. Hans said he was tired of picking out the bones. The witch's spices grew bitter and exotic. Gretel found herself wandering away, never bringing back the mushrooms or the wild strawberries she found. Hans would not chop the wood anymore. The witch refused to bring in the water, choosing to fill their cups with supernatural wine instead. They all grew gaunt, moral, quick to argue about what was wrong, what was right. Hans succumbed first, his eyes, his mouth wide open as if screaming. The witch died in her bed, a smile on her lips, her sweet wine staining her sheets, her wand tangled in her tresses. Gretel grieved for a while, but then she turned a rock into licorice, the river into marzipan. She transformed a bear into a tree trunk, snakes into branches. She stoked the witches' ovens again, but made only nut pies and raisin bread. Gretel looks at the village again, thinks of turning back. The people will probably throw her in a pit, hang her from a tree, stone her, burn her. Still, she wanted to tell them of the house, its impossible arches, its sugar windows, its bitter flavor. She wanted to tell them of its promise and its lie. Yes, God walks its passageways, but the devil walks right beside him. Gretel puts the bread back in her pocket. It's no lighter than when she took the first bite. She picks up the reins, wraps them around her shoulders, and trudges on. The wood piled high in the toboggan behind her writhes, kicks, like a child waiting to be born.
Oh, that is just so good. Oh, I love it.
It leaves me speechless. I've read this many times since last year.
Yes, it's just so, well, first off, you look at that picture and you can, if you hear this, you will never look at that picture and not see this in that picture.
Show it again.
Yes, yes. So there she is headed off to the village she abandoned so long ago. And it's just, I don't know, she just captured something in even the woman's pulling of the toboggan with it kicking at her heels, and you're just kind of with her right there. And then just the whole take on that Hansel and Gretel joined in with the witch and liked what they were doing for a time.
Yeah.
It's very,
all kinds of carnal activities going on.
yes. Yeah.
Which is a neat take on it. That's
Absolutely.
What it's unique. And
Absolutely.
that's pretty cool. But yeah, you said there's so many wonderful details. I loved how she bumps her calves, like you said, and knocks loose a dusting of green needles from her shoulders, a cone of gray hair from her cap. I love the village description. It's low slung roofs. And of course, the taste of the bread, like smoke and ginger, which is
Yes.
cinnamon.
Yes.
Like teeth. And then I also love the pacing. Those lines that I know that just hit you in the gut. They bore so many children for the oven.
Yeah.
That can almost be read two ways. Like, I'm thinking Hansel and Gretel bore the children.
Or did the village?
Or the village had people kids wander in.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like that it's kind of ambiguous.
Right.
Probably was both.
Yes.
I think Hansel and
Since
Gretel,
there was incest and
yeah, they
right.
had children. The witch maybe had her own children with them,
Yep.
and then they still had some more kids probably wandering. Maybe
Yes.
that's what I think. But I just love that line. Oh, I love that line. And oh, it's just I could read the whole thing again to talk about the details, like the dirty kisses, the squall of birth, the cloying odor of mother's milk. Meat made them angry,
Yes.
and how the witch died in her bed, a smile on
With
her lips.
wand tangled in her hair. I love that.
The details, it's just
In her tresses,
wonderful.
actually.
Yeah, and you could just visualize everything. And one line that just gutted me was, "Yes, God walks its passageways, but the devil walks right beside him." Oh, I got
Yes.
chills.
Yes.
I'm
Which
so glad
goes
she
back.
presented that.
Yes, and I love how all of this, they're fine with everything, but then when they grow gaunt, they grow moral.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which
Interesting.
I just thought that was a great, and they're quick to argue about what was wrong, what was right. Up until that point, not so much.
All sorts of.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting once they grow gaunt. And I love that line right before the one I read. It says she wanted to tell them of its promise and its lie. It made me think of some great biblical stories and the Garden of Eden. Just
Yes.
that's where my
Yeah.
mind went.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the serpent
Yes.
of the promise and the lie. There's always a mix of both in there for
Yes.
deception. Just uh, an amazing story. And what I notice about ekphrastic writing,
Yes.
at least for me, I've done a little bit. I want to do more. But people use ekphrastic writing for prompts, and
Mhm.
they may never mention that it was based on
Sure.
a painting or whatever. But I know with my own writing, it helps me pull out sensory details
Sure.
because I'm looking and I imagine what that is going on, what it smells like, the lighting is. I know I'm much more acutely aware of those things because when I write just from my mind, I have to go back and make sure I do have some sensory details in there. I don't always
Sure.
include a lot. You don't want to overdo it, but
Right.
I know I tend to not have enough. At least I think so. When I read my stuff, I don't have enough, and it just that's what really enriches a piece, in my opinion.
Yes.
Of
Yes.
course, you can have a style where there's not much, and that is a style. But oh, I just love the detail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think like she had this line in there about, and you can't see from this copy that I have, but there's a couple lights here and there in the buildings, and she brought that out. She said, there's a yellow lights that shimmer from this window. That
Yeah.
I don't know if she hadn't seen that in the painting, just if that
Right.
would naturally come out, and that's what's cool about ekphrastic writing because you get these delicious.
Yes. Well, and how interesting to look at that picture. And, in all of our minds, Gretel is a girl. And she looked at that picture and envisioned Gretel as an older woman who had lived a life, and she gave us that life. Yeah, I just think that's so interesting. That Goya has this Sleep of Reason produces monsters. Have you ever seen that piece? It is.
Yes, I have. Oh, his stuff
Yes.
is like wild. Yeah.
I know. And that
It's
is, whenever I think of this, it's just like that. I think it's actually an etching, but it's just so cool. And I wrote a story once used the title. It's really got nothing. It had nothing to do with the picture itself, but the title alone, I stole it. And it's just such a great title and such a great.
It is. I'm gonna put that link to that in the descriptions, and maybe people watching, if they want to do Goya as a ekphrastic writing prompt,
Yeah.
that would be really cool.
Yeah. He has so many things, I think, well, that my imagination goes with, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That is so cool. And I wanted to say about her details. It's almost like she gives things out like breadcrumbs.
Yes.
The details.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking. I was reading just a little bit here, drawing us into the story. And I just love the sweet and the sour, the good, the bad, the holy, the unholy, the beautiful and the grotesque.
Yes. They're always right up against each other in life.
Just amazing, Nan. Amazing.
Yes,
So it'll be interesting to hear what she has to say when her answers to our questions.
yes, yes. Well, and I thank you because I had not heard of Nan, and this is the first piece of hers that I had read, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is so great.
They are all so great.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question we asked her was, what is your greatest challenge as a writer?
Her answer: I don't consider myself a writer. I occasionally find some chinks in this wall and write my way through anyway. Rewards can be motivation, monetary or otherwise. I've earned a few dollars writing content, a fact of which I'm unduly proud. Before the pandemic, I helped our school kids with their coffee cart business. I put out a Google order form every morning with a blurb for buying coffee. The blurbs never translated to more sales. Some people, however, thought they were pretty funny and asked when the cart and the blurbs will be back. Still, I struggle with the concept of me as a writer and wonder if I really have anything to add to the writing conversation. In my brief tenure as a reader for Nunum, I heard a million other voices better than mine and more worthy of an ear. Why add to the chatter? A Christian mystic, whose name I can't find right now, said to hear God, you must first shut up. I'm always thinking I should just shut up and listen. We all could do that, Nan. Don't feel like you're the only one there.
Yeah, so humble. I'm
Yes.
such a
Yeah.
writer. I consider that a writer.
You wrote that story, and yes, Nan, our vote is you are a writer. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other question was, who are the writers, living or dead, you turn to for inspiration and guidance?
I'd like to add what to that question, she says. Music and the visual arts can be huge influence and inspiration. Return to the Woods is based on a painting by Giovanni Sagantini. I must thank the Ekphrastic Review for opening my eyes to it. My dad, an elementary music teacher, brought home musical stories like Peter and the Wolf, The Nutcracker, Night on Bald Mountain, Peter Gynt. I love them all. The darker, the better. Lucia Berlin and Louise Erdrich are at the top of my current reading list. Both have a sure-footedness and humor I lack. Marie Sandoz, Willa Cather, and Wallace Stegner do a stunning job on the West. May I someday have such insight. The worlds created by River Solomon, Ursula K. Le Guin, and Octavia Butler have taught me how to slip into the weird. I was an MFA poetry student many years ago. Whether I learned about the craft or the people who aspire to the craft at that school is anybody's guess. Most of my favorite teachers are accidental. I tripped over Kathy Fish and Nancy Stolen a few years ago. I haven't fallen yet. Their advice, whether to me or the wider world, has always been spot on. Oh, yes. I love that she likes Ursula Le Guin and Octavia Butler. Those are two of my favorites.
I knew you would. I knew that would be your thing. Yeah, and Kathy and Nancy, they're just announced, I think, on social media that they're opening their retreats for registration. So you may want to look
One
into
in Spain, I believe they said.
Wish I could go to that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
one in Colorado, and
Yes.
then probably some other ones in there too online. So
I'm going to throw something out there that is absolutely not anything we were talking about, but bringing up retreats, residencies. That there is a place in Door County, Wisconsin called Right on Door County. They do free residencies for writers. There's an application process. And I'm a member there, and I just recently got this email from them that they have the funds and they are going to be building a new retreat center, a residency center, to house 5 writers at a time. And they're willing to take 5 writers who apply as a group. And you have your own room, but there's going to be a shared living room, library, and kitchen. It is gorgeous there, absolutely gorgeous. They have this brand new writing center. Your payback is you agree to teach a class. I have never enjoyed teaching a class more than in that center, just because it was so beautiful and the people who came to the class were great. But I'm just throwing it out there. That center is probably going to be done in a couple years, and 2 and 3 others, it would be great to do a week-long residency there. So I'm just putting it out there.
Get a little writing done.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of talking, little writing.
No. Oh, that does sound lovely. We need more places like that.
Yes, yes.
We do.
It's an incredible gift to writers. But anyway, that's off subject. And
Well, and is it fully funded, or do you have to pay?
the only thing you pay for is your food. And there's kitchens, so you can go to Fish Creek, buy your food, cook it, eat out. When I was there, I would get up and I wrote in the morning, and every afternoon I went to the beach and read, and then went back and did more in the evening. It was just awesome.
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 So I guess we could wrap things out. Be sure to check out Nan Wigington and her writing, Ekphrastic Review, Kathy Fish and Nancy Stolman and their classes. And try some ekphrastic writing if you haven't. It does change your writing a little bit. I think it feeds it, so like I said, more sensory details. Also, sometimes it's a great springboard just for when you don't know what to write. If you just, sometimes the story is right there in the picture.
You're right.
You know,
right. And how many people would look at that same picture that Nan used and write an entirely different story, which is really cool too.
That's really cool. And I would like to see more of that. Like everybody get the same picture and you maybe publish like all the different stories just to see the different viewpoints.
Hey, that would be a good, fun thing to do on my blog. You might have just given me an idea.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. Another episode of the Flashtronauts. We're going to try to do once monthly. We try to do more than that, but you know, the season of time of our lives right now, it's just kind of a crazy world right now. So we'll be back in February. We're going to do little interesting pieces of mine and Connie's. We're going to talk about the grotesque. What else are we going to talk about? Who knows? We'll see.
Who knows?
We're going to kind of compare and contrast some of our own writing.
Well, and kind of how, like, you know, how that I'm assuming we're going to talk a little bit about Flano C, because she is the mistress of grotesque, right?
Yes. FOC.
Yes.
FOC. All right. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Flashtronauts.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.